Thursday, September 19, Laid to Rest. Read Mark chapter 15, verses 42 to 47. What is the significance of Joseph of Arimathea's intervention, especially since all of Jesus' disciples were nowhere to be seen? Mark 15, beginning at verse 42. It was preparation day, that is, the day before the Sabbath. So, as evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent member of the council, who was himself waiting for the kingdom of God, went boldly to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised to hear that he was already dead. Summoning the centurion, he asked him if Jesus had already died. When he learned from the centurion that it was so, he gave the body to Joseph. So Joseph bought some fine linen, took down the body, wrapped it in the linen, and placed it in a tomb cut out of rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of Joseph saw where he was laid. After all that drama, the most mundane thing happens next. For starters, dead people always have to be buried. But several factors in what follows are quite touching spiritually, and others are extremely important historically. In this passage, Joseph of Arimathea appears for the first and last time in the Gospel of Mark. He was a respected member of the Sanhedrin and one of the urban elites. As a wealthy and respected man, he had standing with the governor, which explains how he could dare approach Pilate and ask for the body of Jesus. It is a touching detail that a member of the council took such interest in Jesus' burial. Meanwhile, where were Jesus' trusted disciples in all this? One historical detail of extreme importance here is the verification of the death of Jesus. Mark 15, verse 43, tells of Joseph's request for the body of Jesus. But Pilate was surprised to hear that Jesus was already dead, in verse 44. He therefore summoned the centurion in charge of the crucifixion and asked if Jesus was dead already. The centurion confirmed that it was so. This is important because of the later claim by some that Jesus did not die on the cross, but only fainted. The testimony of the centurion to the Roman governor directly counters that assertion. The Romans did, after all, know how to execute criminals. Joseph brought a linen shroud to wrap Jesus, and he laid his body in a tomb hewn from rock. This tomb was large enough to walk into, as we read in the next chapter, Mark 16 and verse 5. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting at the right side, and they were alarmed. Along with Joseph, the Gospel writer notes two women who saw the location, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph. These two, along with Salome, watched the crucifixion from a distance. All three will go to the tomb on Sunday morning with the intention to complete their work of embalming Jesus, as you read in Mark 16, verse 1. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Why the reference to these three women? They will be the witnesses to the empty tomb in Mark 16, and thus are important witnesses of the resurrection of Jesus. And so to finish today, how ironic that Jesus' followers are missing in action, while a member of the Sanhedrin, the very body that condemned Jesus, becomes the hero here. How can we be sure that in crucial times we are not missing in action either?
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind.
Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.